A big room that looked scary. There was no light there. That room looked like a torture room. There were many murders kept on a big table, by which people were tortured mercilessly. There was the corpse of the same man lying on the ground, who was followed to Ranvir Vikram's mansion. Vikram Chauhan was tied to a chair with a rope. Ranvir had done this to him. Ranvir had repeatedly punched him on the face, due to which his entire face was covered with blood. In Ranvir's mind, Mahi's scared face, her wounds, her screams, everything was visible, which was provoking his anger. Ranvir held Vikram's hair and raised his face, and said with anger, "You had taken Ranvir Roy Kapoor very lightly. By touching my life, you have not challenged Ranvir, but directly challenged your death, Chauhan." With this, he turned one of his hands towards the guard. The guard understood his gesture. He put a dagger in Ranvir's hand. He started beating the dagger on Vikram's hand, and said with hatred, "You touched my Mahi with this hand, didn't you?" While saying this, Ranvir was looking like a psycho. He pierced the dagger in his hand with a ruthless smile, due to which Vikram screamed in pain. His screams were giving a lot of peace to Ranvir. He had not yet taken the dagger out of his hand, and was turning the dagger in the same place. Hearing Vikram's painful screams, Ranvir said with a devil smile, "Shout. Shout more, Vikram Chauhan. Your screams are giving a lot of peace to my mind." With this, he quickly took out the dagger. With this, a stream of blood started flowing from Vikram's hand. Then Ranvir said while piercing the dagger on his other hand as well, "You touched my Mahi with this hand, didn't you?" Saying this, he started turning the dagger in the same way, and quickly took it out. Now, a stream of blood started flowing from that hand as well. Even the guards standing nearby were shivering seeing Ranvir's brutality. Meanwhile, Vedant and Rudra were sitting comfortably on the chair, putting their feet on each other. Ranvir placed the dagger on his palm and said while grinding his teeth, "You touched my Mahi with this hand, didn't you?" Saying this, he struck his palm hard. Then he turned the same dagger on Vikram's face and said, "Did you make a deal with my Mahi?" Saying this, he pierced the dagger directly in his chest. And with this, he struck his chest several times. He died with the first blow. But Ranvir was so angry that he was not able to calm down. His entire face was bathed in blood. If anyone had seen him at this time, he would have died of a heart attack. Ranvir was looking like a god of death at this time. All his clothes were soaked with blood. Even his face had turned red with Vikram's blood. Ranvir still said while attacking him, "How dare you touch her? You hurt my love." Seeing this, Vedant grabbed Ranvir and removed him from Vikram's dead body. And while calming him down, he said, "Ranvir, control yourself. He is dead." Rudra poured water on his head. So Ranvir was still taking long breaths in anger. Ranvir said to the guard, "Take him away. Put him in the cage of my hungry lion." Saying this, he left from there. Behind him, Rudra and Vedant also left. At about 2 o'clock in the night, Ranvir returned to the mansion. At this time, everyone in the house had gone to sleep. Ranvir opened the door of his room and came inside. He looked at the bed. Mahi was sleeping crouched in the corner of the bed. Mahi was looking innocent like a small child. Ranvir was staring at her. He extended his hand towards her cheeks. Then he realized his condition. He pulled his hand back. He did not want Mahi to see him in this condition. So he went to the washroom. After a while, he came out with a shower. At this time, he was wearing only a lower. Ranvir came and lay next to Mahi, and grabbed her waist and brought her to himself. Mahi also hugged Ranvir tightly in sleep. Ranvir, who was not less than a beast until a while ago, now his face expression was absolutely normal. Today Ranvir had a peace of mind. He had not been able to sleep for the last 2 nights. He said while caressing Mahi's cheeks, "Jan, today your culprit has been punished. Now no one will bother you." With this, he put his lips on Mahi's lips and started kissing her. Because of the kiss, Mahi began to cough in sleep. Ranvir let him go. Then he put his head on his chest and closed his eyes. Morning time. Sunlight began to fall on Mahi's face from the window. Mahi slowly opened her eyes. She felt that she was sleeping with her head on Ranvir's chest. Ranvir was not wearing a shirt at this time. Seeing this, Mahi's face turned red with shame. She looked at Ranvir, who was looking very charming while sleeping. His hair was scattered on his forehead, which was giving him an even more attractive look. Mahi was looking at Ranvir for a while. She slowly started moving towards Ranvir's face. Then as soon as she was about to touch Ranvir's lips with her lips, she stopped suddenly. She felt her heartbeats increasing. Mahi's face was very close to Ranvir's face. She was afraid that Ranvir might get up. She slightly touched Ranvir's lips with her lips. And as soon as she started moving away from Ranvir, then Ranvir put one of his hands on Mahi's back and the other one behind his head and started kissing her. Mahi was surprised to see him with her eyes wide open. Ranvir kissed her and put her down. Mahi held Ranvir's shoulders tightly. Ranvir was not wearing a shirt at that time. Because of this, Mahi's nails started getting stuck in his skin. After a long kiss, Ranvir released Mahi's lips. And he laid down next to her with his head on one hand. And started looking at Mahi while smiling. Mahi said while taking deep breaths, "You were sleeping, when did you wake up?" Ranvir said, "When you were staring at me for a long time. And trying to take advantage of me while sleeping." After hearing Ranvir, Mahi was shocked. And turned her face to the other side and said, "Why should I take advantage of you?" Saying this, Mahi's cheeks turned red with shame. Ranvir held her cheeks and said in front of him, "Don't lie, weren't you kissing me?" After hearing Ranvir getting caught, Mahi hid her face in Ranvir's chest. She was feeling very shy. Ranvir loved Mahi's attitude. Ranvir said, "You can do whatever you want with me. Because you have a right on me." Saying this, he kissed her neck. Mahi pushed Ranvir and went to the washroom. Ranvir saw Mahi leaving with a smile. And then he went to the balcony. In some time, Mahi came out. And stood in front of the dressing and started drying her hair with a dryer. Mahi was wearing a simple anarkali suit. Her neck was deep from the back. Then she felt cold on her back. When Mahi looked in the mirror, Ranvir was running his cold fingers on Mahi's back. Feeling the touch of Ranvir's fingers, a whistle ran through Mahi's body. Mahi quickly turned around and said, "Ranvir, don't do it. I feel ticklish." Ranvir kissed Mahi's neck and said in his seductive voice, "Just feel it. This is my love for you. And you also want the same. Now, accept it." Mahi's hands were on Ranvir's chest. Feeling Ranvir's warm breath on his neck, Mahi's eyes closed. She was feeling every touch of Ranvir. As if Mahi was lost in this feeling. Ranvir moved away from her and started looking at Mahi's blushed face. Mahi's eyes were still closed. Ranvir went close to her ear and said softly, "Do you want me to come close to you?" "Yes, very close," Mahi said in a confused manner. Hearing Mahi's answer, Ranvir's lips smiled. He then said, "So why don't we end all the distances between us tonight?" Saying this, he bit Mahi's earlobe with a kiss. Mahi suddenly opened her eyes. Ranvir was looking at her with both his hands tied. Mahi pushed him and said, "You are very shameless." Saying this, she ran out of the room. Ranvir saw her leaving and smiled and said, "You have said a lot without saying anything. I will end the distance between us very soon." Mahi was in her grandmother's room. Ranvir got ready and as soon as he came out of the room, he found Ruhi, Priya and Tina bowing their heads in front of him. Ranvir put both his hands in his pocket, closed his eyes and looked at the three of them. All three of them said holding their ears, "Forgive us. Mahi was in such a big trouble because of us. And she had to bear a lot." Hearing them, Ranvir did not say anything and started leaving from there. So Ruhi held his hand and said crying, "Brother, please. If we had known earlier, we would never have done this. We did not do anything deliberately. Then Priya came and said, brother-in-law, if you want, you can give us any punishment. We are ready to bear the punishment. Tina also quickly shook her head and said, yes, we accept all your punishments. Ranvir took a deep breath and said, okay, so your punishment is that you will spend the whole day with Mahi and divert her mind from all those things so that she can live a normal life again because she still has a fear in her heart. Ruhi said quickly, yes, brother, we will take care of Mahi and take care of her in college too. If anyone bothers Mahi, I will break both her hands. Priya said, yes, and I will break both her legs. Where was Tina going to stay behind? She made a punch with her hands and said, I will break her teeth. Ranvir was looking at her with surprise. Then a voice came from behind, and what should I break? Give me something to break too. Hearing the voice, everyone looked back. So Mahi was looking at him with her hand on her waist. Then Vedant came behind her and said, you break her head. Now everyone's eyes were on Vedant. Seeing Vedant, Priya shrugged her eyes and said, you are right. Whoever bothers you should break his head. And I will do the same. Vedant understood that Priya's target is him. So he also started looking at Priya with a mischievous smile. Ranvir also understood what was going on between the two. He lowered his head and started trying to control his laughter. Rohi said in Tina's ear, before Priya starts showing demo here, she will have to go from here. Tina held Priya's hand and said, Priya, let's go. I have to talk to you about something important. Prior to going, Priya pointed at Vedant. I will see you. After all, how will Priya teach Vedant a lesson? Will Ranvir be able to get Mahi out of this trauma? Is the danger completely out of Mahi's head? To know more, keep listening to Oh Baby only on Love Pulse Diaries.